Today's question is from Betty Houghton, who asks, how can I get members of the board of directors of an incorporated organization to understand exceptions or ignoring the bylaws based on personal relationships cannot be made? The bylaws apply to all members, therefore, if you make a ruling for one member, you will have to apply that same ruling for other members. No exceptions to the rules stated in the bylaws unless the bylaws are amended to address the exception. I like how this question is phrased. Look at this wording. How can I get members of the board of directors of an incorporated organization to understand? Betty isn't asking for clarity on the rules. She knows the rules. She wants to know, how do I make other people understand the rules? And that's a great question. Let me know in the comments below if you have had or are having similar issues with certain members in your organization. I'd love to hear your experiences. Now let's dive into the question. First, let's cover the answer that Betty already knows, just to be thorough. Yes, you have to follow the rules of your organization, and this holds true whether the organization is incorporated or not. The fact that the organization is incorporated makes no difference on this point. Any ruling made by the chair should be made in accordance with the rules as they apply to the particular situation. It is possible that two different situations could properly call for two different rulings, but I think Betty's question is more concerned with those instances where multiple situations are obviously the same but are being treated differently. And remember that Betty's question was concerned with the best way to get the board members to understand the plain truth that the rules apply equally to all members. First, I would recommend that you familiarize yourself with the process for raising a point of order. Only a member of the body that is meeting can raise a point of order. For example, in a board meeting, only a member of the board can raise a point of order. So if you're on the board, you can do this yourself. If you're not a member of the board, I would recommend finding a board member who shares your point of view and who would be willing to raise a point of order. Explain the situation to this board member and try to convince him to raise the appropriate point of order. Even if you can't find a board member who is initially in sympathy with your point of view, providing a little education on parliamentary law may win a few board members over to your side. So let's take a look at how a point of order is made. At the time of the breach, a member simply says, point of order. When a member says point of order, everything stops immediately, and the chair says the member will state the point. The member then expresses how he believes the rules are being violated. The chair is then required to make a ruling on the point, either well taken or not well taken. If the chair rules the point well taken, this means the chair agrees with the point and he ensures that the breach of the rules does not persist. On the other hand, if the chair rules the point not well taken, this means that the chair does not agree with the point, and the chair is ruling that there is no violation of the rules. So what do you do if you don't agree with the chair's ruling? That's where an appeal comes in. Robert's Rules of Order states that by electing a presiding officer, the Assembly delegates to him the authority and duty to make necessary rulings on questions of parliamentary law. And Robert's Rules of Order goes on to explain that by one member making or taking the appeal and another seconding it, the question is taken from the chair and vested in the Assembly for final decision. So this means that it is ultimately the Assembly's decision. Once again, if we're talking about a board meeting, any board member can raise a point of order, and the presiding officer would make a ruling. Then, any member of the board could appeal the decision of the chair. In a large board, this would require a second. In a committee or small board, under Robert's Rules of Order, no seconds are required, so a second wouldn't be necessary. So immediately after the chair makes a ruling, a member may say, I appeal from the decision of the chair. If the appeal receives a second, if seconds are required, the chair then says, the decision of the chair is appealed from. After the chair clearly explains the ruling, the matter is turned over to the Assembly to decide, with the question being, shall the decision of the chair stand as the judgment of the Assembly? A majority in the negative is required to overturn the ruling of the chair. This means that in the event of a tie, even if the chair's vote creates that tie, the ruling of the chair stands. See Robert's Rules of Order newly revised 12th edition, section 24 for the details of the motion to appeal. Now, what if a subordinate board has taken action that the parent assembly doesn't support? Well, the parent body can countermand that action. Robert's Rules of Order provides, except in matters placed by the bylaws exclusively under the control of the board, the Society's assembly can give the board instructions which it must carry out, and can rescind or amend any action of the board if it is not too late. Robert's Rules of Order also states the following. If the executive board of a society takes action that exceeds the board's instructions or authority, that conflicts with a decision made by the assembly of the society, or that falls under any of the categories listed in 23.6, a point of order can be raised at a board meeting at any time during the continuance of the breach. If the point of order is sustained, the action must be declared null and void. Robert's Rules of Order goes on to say, alternatively, the Society's Assembly can adopt an incidental main motion by majority vote declaring that the board's action is null and void, or if it is affecting business at a meeting of the Assembly, the board's action can be declared null and void by a ruling of the chair relating to the affected business or on a relevant point of order raised by a member. So we see that in a board meeting, board members have the opportunity to appeal from any decision of the chair immediately at the time of the ruling, and that the decision is then turned over to the board to decide, requiring a majority vote to overturn the decision of the chair. Furthermore, we see that the General Assembly of the organization, that is, the general members assembled in a meeting, have the authority to give a subordinate board instructions and to rescind or amend anything adopted by that subordinate board, provided that it's not too late to do so. For example, if the board adopted a motion to chop down the trees in front of the office building and subsequently the trees were chopped down, then it would be too late to rescind that motion, since it has already been carried out. However, the parent assembly could adopt a motion to plant new trees in front of the office building. In my experience, the best way to get board members to understand that they have to follow the rules is to first educate them on the rules and then point out any violations of the rules by raising points of order, and if necessary, to appeal from any rulings that are inconsistent with the rules. It's also a good idea to educate the general members on the rules and their rights, especially concerning the General Assembly's ability to oversee the board's actions and to correct any violations of the rules. Let me know in the comments below if you would like me to cover any other details on this topic or any other topic in parliamentary law, and let me know if the animations are helpful. That covers getting board members to understand. Click the subscribe button for more videos like this one. And as always, if you have questions about your association, your rights as a member, or your role as an officer, feel free to post them in the comments section or visit us at perfectrules.com. And not only will we provide you with a response, but we may feature your question in one of our Q&A videos.